Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome back once again to The Correct Views. I was trying to figure out exactly how I was going to go ahead and do this because what I want to cover is kind of long. And those of you that might be new to the show, I usually do topics. I'll find 4 or 6 articles that have really caught my attention that I feel are very important and oftentimes underreported. And I will do a series of, my show will have a number of topics. I did one about, 4 or 5 days ago that was all Paul because the news on him was that important and that underreported. Well, it's happened again, and so we're going to go ahead with some more Paul news because I don't want to rush this. And I would love to be able to, to post more often, to post longer shows. The thing is with editing and manpower, if you guys donate, I can do it, but I'd need to get a better computer. I'm trying to get a better camera, but we've accomplished a lot in the year. It'll be a year next Thursday, the 9th. We've accomplished a lot, and we're growing, and hopefully we'll keep growing. Until that happens, we're going to have to go with minimum coverage on some of these or make them more one topic. And this is one of those times. How Ron Paul was cheated, or as it's an op-ed news.com, how the GOP establishment stole the nomination from Ron Paul by Jarrett Glenn. Jarrett Glenn is the man. This is a wonderful article. I'm going to be reading much of it, but I won't do it justice. I'm not going to sit here and read it verbatim. So make sure you go and look at this article, especially if you are a Ron Paul libertarian, God forbid, Republican, because we all did the same thing. We only joined this sinking ship for Paul. I know. All right. This is a play-by-play on exactly how Ron Paul was cheated. Iowa. Days before the caucuses, Paul held a commanding lead in the polls, and all of the momentum with every other candidate having peaked from favorable media coverage and then collapsed under the heavy scrutiny, which is true. It happened to their first darling from Texas, what's his name, Rick Perry. I forgot his name. He forgets what he wants to get rid of. Santorum, Gingrich, on and on and on. Establishment Republicans like Iowa's Representative Steve King attempted to sabotage Paul's campaign by spreading rumors that he would lose to Obama if nominated. Even though the Iowa GOP platform reads like a Ron Paul speech, and it does, look it up. Shortly before the caucuses, Iowa piece of human filth Governor Terry Barnstead told Politico, if Paul wins, people are going to look at who comes in second and who comes in third. If Romney comes in a strong second, it definitely helps him going into New Hampshire. The message from the governor to voters of his state was, a vote for Ron Paul is a wasted vote. And that's very, very interesting because you have to remember that Paul has been the only Republican to win when faced against Obama. And that's also fact. A little bit more on Iowa. Iowa originally reported Romney in first, Santorum in a close second, and Paul third. After the recount, Santorum was named the winner with Romney in second. No mention was given to how the recount affected Paul's final vote count. Iowa GOP chairman Matt Strawn, it goes on, later resigned and was replaced by a Paul supporter, A.J. Spiker, and Paul went on to win the majority of delegates. And I noticed in another article today that they're threatening not to seat Maine if their delegates don't get along. They don't mean get along. They mean get behind Romney. Again, part of the cheating. But we'll get to Maine. Florida. The Florida GOP broke party rules by switching to a winner-take-all state before the date allowed, which favors the candidate with the most money for advertising and attack ads. And, of course, Romney got the same bankers and the same political donations that Obama did. The same people donate to both parties so that they are able to control that candidate regardless of which candidate wins. The senior advisor to the Ron Paul campaign, Doug Mead, claims that this was done specifically to favor Romney. Are they the Republicans or are they the Romneykins? I don't know. It seems like they were certainly pushing in that direction. Nevada. There is bad blood between Paul's supporters and the establishment Republicans, it says, in Nevada. On caucus day, the media was denied access to most caucus sites, and the few that were permitted were not allowed to take photos. Others were even ejected from sites. This CNN clip, and it shows one here, shows the GOP staff preventing a Paul supporter from entering the premises to vote at a special caucus that was set up at the last minute for a Newt Gingrich backer named Sheldon Adelson. Here, participants were asked to sign an affidavit under penalty of perjury, stating that they were Jewish and couldn't vote early in the day due to religious reasons. CNN showed live coverage of votes being counted at this event, with Paul amassing nearly 60% of the votes. In some precincts in Clark County, the largest in Nevada, the number of ballots did not match the number of voters signed in at the caucus. Though votes were to be counted publicly, they were largely counted in private cheating. The vote count was also inexplicably dragged out for several days, leading to a victory for Romney. Nevada State GOP chairwoman Amy Tarkanian resigned the day after the caucuses. Well, isn't that interesting? In spite of these irregularities, Paul won 22 of 25 delegates and replaced state party officials with Paul supporters. Romney supporters then formed their own state party called Team Nevada. The RNC then bypassed the official state party in order to organize for the one that Romney and send all of their funds to Team Nevada. Cheating! You want more? Oh, that's always this was going to be a long one. We got lots of cheating. Colorado! Romney supporters were caught passing out fake Ron Paul slates at the state convention. The RNC has not investigated or even commented on this matter. So not only do they cheat, but in order not to have to address it, they just act like they didn't hear it. Do you ever try to tell somebody, hey, you're drinking too much pop and you're going to give yourself diabetes? And they say, yep. And they keep drinking it, and then they wonder why they're sick. Same kind of thing. Speaking of sick, Minnesota. Doug Weed claims the state party instructed members not to vote for any delegates under the age of 50 because most young delegates support Paul. What would you be saying if the shoe was on the other foot, you Romney fans, and they said don't vote for anybody over the age of 35 because most of them are going to be Romney fans? That would be cheating! Bastards. Missouri. Cincinnati's Ben Swan of WXIX covered the fiasco in St. Charles County. Temporary Chairman Eugene Dokes started the meeting by banning video recording devices, a first for the event. Robert's Rules of Order require the temporary chairman to accept nominations and elect a convention chairman to run the event. Instead, he appointed a chair of his choice. Cheating. The crowd immediately erupted with booing. Shortly after, Dokes adjourned the meeting without the required two-thirds majority. Cheating, called the police on attendees, and left. In adherence to state rules, Paul's supporter Brent Stafford, along with one of the top parliamentarians in the state, reconvened in the parking lot and attempted to resume the event. Shortly after, the SWAT team arrived and arrested Stafford, who was following state party rules. Not cheating. Dokes later admitted on talk radio that he and other state party officials deliberately broke the rules to prevent Paul from winning. Cheating! Maine. Yeah, they should all get along after this happened. Ben Swan reported on the shenanigans in Maine. Even though only 84% of votes had been counted, state GOP chairman Charlie Webster declared Romney the winner over Paul by less than 200 votes. Hancock and Washington counties hadn't voted yet because Webster canceled the caucuses due to an impending snowstorm, promising that they could vote later and that their votes would be counted. The snowstorm never occurred, and he later reneged on his promise, lied, telling voters in those counties that their votes would not be counted after all. Washington County was Paul's strongest in the state in 2008. Though the other states with close outcomes held recounts, this never was a consideration for Maine. And there's a whole nother paragraph on Maine you need to go and read. Arizona didn't cheat. Ah, yes, they freaking did. The Examiner's Kevin Kevlik reports ballot stuffing, rule violations, and improper vote counting that occurred behind closed doors at the convention. In addition, Paul supporters allege threats of physical violence from Romney supporters. Michigan. Doug Mead reports that Michigan, unlike any other state, had a special party rule forbidding any precinct delegate vacancies from being filled at a county conventions until after the state delegates and alternates were chosen. In other words, countless Ron Paul supporters attending county convention were forcibly blocked because they weren't elected precinct delegates in 2010, long before the Ron Paul 2012 campaign begun. Now, again, let's say you hate Ron Paul and that for some reason you're drinking the idiot Kool-Aid, you know, the idiot, Romney. Don't you at least want to know that elections are fair? Because someday you're going to be on the other side of this, and if you don't stick up for this, there isn't going to be anybody for you. Wyoming, it keeps going. A commentator on Paul's supporter website, dailypaul.com, explains how members of the Republican Executive Committee, who were all Romney supporters, illegally cast votes in the delegate selection vote. Washington, good old Washington, honest as can be, huh? At the state convention, a Ron Paul delegate claimed bubble ballot sheets were withheld in King County District 36. He also claims that the 37th District Caucus was forced to conduct the meeting outside because Chairwoman Lori Sotelo was irritated when a Ron Paul supporter was elected to run the caucus instead of her choice. So not only did she cheat, but when she lost, she felt the need to justify it. Alaska. In spite of last-minute rule changes and violations of party rules, Paul supporters ousted, fairly, longtime state chairman Randy Rudrich and voted in Paul supporter Russ Millett. Rudrich then tried to cheat, the state convention and transferred all of the state party's $100,000 to the local capital city Republicans in Juneau, effectively bankrupting the party now controlled by Paul supporters. How does somebody ousted have the authority to transfer $100,000, by the way? This is clearly a party in disarray. And you see right here, the Democrats, they don't have nearly this much trouble at their conventions. And a lot of this is why. I mean, the GOP is a dying party. They should be thanking Paul. He's all they have. There's a few more. I mean, you guys got to stay with me. Georgia. This video shows GOP chairwoman Sue Everett at the Athens-Clarke County GOP meeting, and there's a link to it, admitting shoddy treatment of the Ron Paul people at the 08 convention and publicly apologizing. She presents the rule book that she helped to write and claims that it won't happen again. The video then shows the actual convention and party leaders breaking those rules to force their pre-elected slate of delegates and prevent Paul supporters from electing their own. Cheating! Party leaders then adjourned the meeting illegally and ran out of the meeting. Massachusetts. Paul won 16 of the 27 delegates selected so far in Romney's home state. In addition, he swept all 6 from Romney's home county. As a result, for the first time ever in the state, delegates were asked to sign an affidavit cheating, stating, "I certify under the pain and penalty of perjury that on the first ballot on the 2012 National Convention, I will firmly vote for Mitt Romney, the winner of the 2012 Massachusetts presidential primary." So it's legal to sign a lie. You can actually get an affidavit to sign a lie. Well, that's interesting. I might have to look into that. The state GOP then covered up Romney's embarrassing loss by invalidating ballots and ousting the Paul delegates. Cheating. So listen to me, all you people saying, why didn't Paul get out? Why doesn't he support Romney? Because Romney is only where he is due to cheating. North Dakota, Ben Swan reports the selection of delegates was unfair. The GOP handed out pre-printed ballots with a slate of delegates, with 60% of them being Mitt Romney supporters in a state that he only won 26% of the vote. Cheating! I didn't even know there were so many ways to cheat. Oklahoma, Kevin Kevick, the Examiner, reports that the Oklahoma convention had to be moved to the parking lot because Robert's rules were ignored. Delegate credentials were not verified. A convention chair was never appointed. Motions made from the floor were ignored. The chairman illegally elected a slate of Romney delegates, and the convention was closed without 2/3 majority of vote. That's a lot of cheating. Oklahoma is much worse than anybody else. Virginia, Doug Mead claims at a district convention that they coerced, the Ron Paul delegation outside and then locked the door. The pastor of the church that was hosting the event was locked out himself. Now they broke laws. They didn't just break rules. It gets better and better. Virginia, Doug Mead claims that a district convention, I just read that one. U.S. Virgin Islands. I have wondered where in the hell Ron's victory went for the Virgin Islands. He won his first caucus there, only to have the GOP take down the straw poll results from their own website, showing Paul the victor with 29% over Romney's 26%, and replaced it with a note for the party claiming Romney won because he had more delegates. Paul's official campaign blogger, Jack Hunter, explains how every other contest determined by victor of the straw vote, except the one that Paul won. All right, I got to fly through these guys. Louisiana, I'm not even going to read all of this. Ben Swan reports a clash between the old Louisiana State GOP leadership and newly elected leaders who support Paul. Old Chairman Roger Viller angered attendees with last-minute rule changes, cheating, the night before the convention. At the start of the convention, Viller attempted to recognize the former chair of the Rules Committee, who had been voted out before, and it goes on and on and on. We have people getting their fingers broken. We have people attacked there. Cheating, such as maybe nobody but Wyoming or Oklahoma in Louisiana. There's 2 more to go. Oregon, it shows a YouTube video where establishment Republicans in Congressional District 4 attempting to seal the box and leave the premises when it became apparent that Ron Paul supporters were in the majority. Cheating. You're not allowed to be in the majority. A Paul supporter is chased away from the ballots and claimed that he was accosted by an establishment party member. Lastly, Wisconsin, MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell reports that Romney violated state campaign laws by bribing voters with free subs. There you go, friends. I have just been speaking for like 17 freaking minutes on how the GOP cheated Ron Paul. So hell no, us Ron Paul fans are not getting behind Obama. We're sure as hell not getting behind Romney. We are either going to vote Paul or we are going to vote Johnson because you freaking cheated. Good night. God bless.